The proximity chime started before I was fully awake, and by the time my boots hit the cold deck, the small one already had 2 fingers hooked in the cuff of my sleeve. She did that. She had learned my sleeve the way other children learn a hand. I pulled the berth feed. A hull was coming down through the ice haze over Bellows Reach, slow, running dark, the way a ship runs when it does not want the locals counting it. There were no locals. The Reach had been a fuel and transfer depot once, before the lane shifted south and left it to freeze in the dark between 2 dead moons. I had put down here 3 days back with a cracked drive coil and a hold I should have inspected sooner. I had inspected it the first night. That was how I found her. The consignment was 11 sealed pods, paid in advance, no questions in the contract and none from me. I had run worse. I cracked the seals to check for leak damage, and the 10th pod was warm. Inside, folded into the foam like cargo, was a child ash-gray skin, a fine ridge of something like pale chitin along each temple, eyes too big and too dark for the light to settle in. Vesh. I had heard the word once in a bar, attached to a price. A smart man spaces the pod and reports a malfunction. A smart man does not put himself between a buyer and what he paid for. I sealed the other 10. I carried the 10th into the cabin, set it down by the heater, and worked the lid until it gave. That was the last smart decision I did not make. The hail came on the open band, unencrypted, which told me they were not worried about being heard. Hauler at berth 4. A voice like a man reading a ledger aloud. You are holding recovered stock. Open the pod, walk the contents to the lock, and we conclude. No penalty. We are a collection outfit. We do not deal in grudges. We deal in inventory. The child looked at the speaker grill, then at me. She did not have the words. She had the tone. Her temple ridges had gone pale, the way they did when the cabin ran too cold, and she pressed the side of her head against my forearm and made the sound I had come to know, low, two-noted. A vibration carried more in the bone than the air. Her people talked into the frame of a thing. She was asking the deck plate whether it was safe. I keyed the band. No stock here, wrong berth. Berth 4, the ledger voice said, patient as weather. The pod's locator reads from inside your hull. You took a fee. We are not asking you to lose money. Send the small one out and we walk away. I cut the channel. I would like to tell you I weighed it. I did not. But I am not a brave man, and I want that on the record, so I will tell you what I did weigh, the price I had heard in that bar, and my coil lying cracked and cold in its housing, and how far the next lane ran, and how a man my age does not win a single thing against a crew that hunts for its living. Then I warmed a cup of the sweet protein broth she would take, and I held it while she drank, both of her small hands wrapped around mine to pull the heat out of it, and I stopped weighing anything at all. They landed. I felt it through the deck, the heavy double knock of grapples, then the long scrape of professionals crossing the ice toward the depot's main lock. The feed showed 3. Tall, narrow, wrapped against the cold, moving without hurry. The one in front carried nothing in his hands. You do not carry tools when you believe the job is already done. The ledger voice came again, closer now, from a handheld at the outer lock, near enough that I heard the real grain under it. Hauler, I am the collector of record on this consignment. I have collected from harder berths than a dead one. The child is resonant stock, rare, perishable, already sold 3 jumps from here. You are a freight man with a broken coil and no leverage. There is no version of this where you keep her. Be reasonable, be paid, and be gone. Come and say that to my face, I said. Inner lock's jammed, you'll have to walk it. It was not jammed. I jammed it while he talked. He tried money first, a figure that would have bought me a new coil and the year after it. When the channel stayed quiet, he tried the other thing calm, exact, the way he did everything. They would breach the lock if they had to. They would strip the marrow lark for the locator and leave me to the cold with the hull they wrecked getting it. None of it raised his voice. To him it was arithmetic. The child was a number on the wrong side of a ledger, and he had come a long way to move her back across the line, and a man like me was just a cost he had not yet finished counting. That was his mistake, not cruelty. He had no heat in him at all. He simply could not make the figures come out to a man who would not sell. The Reach is a maze when its power is down, and I had spent 3 cold days learning it while my coil cooled. They did not know it at all. That was the only edge I had, and I had already decided how to spend it. The child followed me into the dark service crawl behind the heater, quiet the way her people are quiet. When I lifted her over a dead conduit, she put her mouth close to my ear and gave me the only word of mine she ever took for her own. "Stay," she said, not asking me to, telling me she would. I left her in the old transfer office with the heater pack and the cup, and a door I could lock from the wrong side, and I went back into the cold to meet men who hunted children for their wage. I will not make it more than it was. I knew the station and they did not. The Reach had bled its air into 100 sealed sections over the dead years, and the seals still answered to a maintenance board that worked if you knew which scorch panel hit it. I knew. I walked the collector and his 2 down the long transfer gallery, talking the whole way on the open band so they would follow my voice into it, and when they were past the 3rd bulkhead, I closed it behind them and opened the gallery to the outside. I did not watch. The eye in me, if there is one, stayed in that locked office with a small gray child and a broth going cold. A man can do a hard thing and still not need to look at it. The gallery went quiet on the feed, the same way the band had gone quiet when I cut the collector off the first time. Inventory, he had called her. Only inventory, no grudges. It turned out I had a grudge after all, one I had been saving my whole soft life without knowing it was there, and I spent it the way I had spent my only edge, all at once, on her. Their ship sat in the ice 2 days before its own systems gave it up to the cold and went dark. I never hailed it. I patched my coil with parts I stripped off their grapples. They owed me that much, and a great deal more they would never pay, and when the Lark could fly again, I carried the child off Bellows Reach and never filed a word of any of it. People who learn a piece of this always have the question ready before I finish. Like there has to be a reason a man throws away the smart life for a child not his, and not even his kind. A debt being squared, a daughter lost, and a chance to stand where I had failed to stand before. There was none of that. I had no daughter in the ground and no debt to clear. I was the only thing standing between her and the men who came to sell her, and it turned out that was the whole of it. Being the one who can is the same as being the one who must. I never knew that about myself until the chime woke me and 2 small fingers found my sleeve in the dark. She is grown now, or near to what passes for it in her people, and she still talks into the bones of a thing, low and 2-noted, when she wants to know whether a place is safe. I tell her that it is. Most of the time now, I am right.